Hey guys, welcome to the theory lesson series. So these videos, the goal is going to be to look at a range of topics, music theory topics, and it's going to be planned out progressively, so from the most fundamental to the most abstract or very specific topics later on down the road, so you can kind of bounce around however you see fit based on what you're wanting to learn or look at. And just as important as the concepts themselves and understanding what is going on, we're going to apply those concepts to the guitar with various exercises. So this video is about the musical alphabet, probably the single most important thing to understand as far as music is concerned. You know, it's what chords are made out of, it's what scales are made out of, it's what we have all across the neck here. It'll help you with note recognition. So before we do a little exercise on the guitar, we want to make sure we feel really good about a couple things. One is what our strings are tuned to in standard tuning, right? E for string 6, A for string 5, D for string 4, G for string 3, B for string 2, and then E for string 1. And I just bring that up. That's something that happens to my students all the time, where they may not be learning to read music, but I always reiterate, remember what your strings are tuned to, because that's the starting pitch of every string, and then you can determine notes based off of that, which is what we're going to do in a second. The other thing is the musical alphabet itself, just the natural musical alphabet. Super easy to remember. It's just A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then it starts all over again. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. It just goes up and up and up and up, or backwards, G, F, E, D, C, B, A, and just goes down, 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 down. So one octave to one octave to another octave. It just keeps going up until it gets to a register to where humans can't hear, too high and too low. But it's a continuous thing. So the important information that we need to remember inside of that is that there are two spots in the musical alphabet where there is no other note in between. I'm sure we've all heard of sharps and flats before. So when we think about the natural musical alphabet, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, just to come full circle to the next occurrence of A, there's two pairs of notes that are right next to one another, and that's B to C and E to F. So if you can remember that, that's going to help you find notes a lot easier on the neck. Every other pair of notes, A to B, C to D, D to E, F to G, and G to A, all have a flat / sharp in between them. A way to visualize this is if you think about if you ever sat down at a piano or seen a piano, or you can pull up a diagram online. The piano has a nice visual layout because it's white keys and black keys. All the white keys are the natural musical alphabet, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. All the black keys are the sharps and the flats. And there are two spots on the piano where you don't have a black key in between two white keys. Those are B to C and E to F. We don't really have that on the guitar. It's kind of a faceless grid. It's really hard to absorb that information initially. So trying to break it down for yourself in small doses with the right information can really go a long way. Because I remember when I first started playing, it's just not easy to understand what is happening right off the bat. It's a lot of information to take in. And everything looks the same. So let's demonstrate the natural musical alphabet on, we'll just say on the high E string. So string 1. So we know that we have that tuned to the note E. So we're just going to climb along here until we're going to go from open all the way up to the 12th fret, which is an octave. But we're just going to find the notes in the natural musical alphabet. So as we're ascending, we're going up in pitch, which means we're going forward in the musical alphabet. So the next note that we're going to run into after E is F. The next note we'll run into after F is G. It's alphabetical. So open string 1 is E. To find F, we know that we don't have another note in between E and F based on that information that we just discussed. There's no sharp or flat in between, so it would just be the next fret up or a half step up. So from open to fret 1, that's the note F. Then to find G, we would move up a whole step, or 2 frets, because there is another note in between F and G. So we slide up to the 3rd fret, and that's G. Same thing from G to A. We slide up a whole step or 2 frets. To the 5th fret, that's A. A to B, we're going to jump up a whole step. Again, that's at the 7th fret. Now we're at B. B to C is the same relationship as E to F. They're a half step apart. No sharp or flat in between them. So we go from B to C, fret 7 to fret 8. Then we're back to whole steps. C to D. D is on fret 10. And then a whole step jump up to E, or 2 frets. And we're at the 12th fret here, the double dots, or double inlays if you have that in your guitar. So just playing that, not worrying about the sharps and flats business, is super helpful, because that gives you a bunch of spots to grab onto on individual strings. So let's go ahead and run through that again, and we'll walk it back down. I'm going to refer to it as whole steps for 2 frets and half steps for 1 fret. So E, open, half step up to F, whole step up to G, whole step up to A, whole step up to B, half step to C, whole step up to D, whole step up to E, and then back down, whole step down to D, whole step down to C, whole step down to B, half step down to B, whole step down to A, whole step down to G, whole step down to F, and then a half step down to your open E. So that's a lot to take in if you haven't really thought about the notes on the neck before, but give yourself some points to jump off of. The most obvious one is the open string name, E. The next most obvious should be, if you're not already thinking about it, the 12th fret is your octave, so that's the next occurrence of E. You have open E and then E at the 12th fret. So you can work from both of those. And then the other spot I would recommend memorizing right off the bat is the 5th fret, A. So if you were being asked to locate the note B with whatever it is you're doing in a song or reading music, and you know that that's A, then you go, oh, well, B is a whole step above A. And it makes it a lot easier to find, and then you just kind of start building on that information automatically, which is what we want. Now, we'll go over the chromatic scale, and we're going to talk about this as far as, we'll do it on the same string here, but we're going to use sharps going up and we're going to use flats going down. That doesn't mean that when you're going up, you're going to think about the notes as sharps, and when you're going down, you're going to think about the notes as flats. It's just to illustrate that these notes have 2 different names. They can, and that's just all related to keys, a whole bunch of other information that we're going to get into. So I just don't want you to make the mistake of thinking that if you're ascending or going up or higher, that you're going to always think of sharps, and if you're going down, you're going to always think of flats. That's not what I'm saying. It's just to get used to thinking about the idea of sharps and flats, just getting comfortable with the idea and just the general concept, and nothing more than that. But we're going to do that all on string 1. All right, so we're going to find out what those notes are in between all of these whole step jumps that we were just going through. So we have E, half step up to F. Now we go up a half step to F sharp, up a half step to G. And I'm going to stop saying half step and just call the notes out. G sharp, A sharp, B, C, so no sharp there, C sharp, D, D sharp, and E at the 12th fret. Now we're going to go back down and we're going to think about it in terms of flats. It's handy to think about this way initially, because the note that you're on as you're ascending is the note that is sharp. Like this is F and then F sharp, G, then G sharp. It's the same thing going down with flats. This is E and then E flat. D, ooh, I started on the wrong fret. E at the 12th fret and then E flat. D and then D flat. C, no flat here, B, B flat, A flat, G, G flat, F, and then open E. So I challenge you to go through at least a couple more strings, if not all of them, and don't worry about trying to learn all the notes that way. This is just kind of bringing awareness to how the musical alphabet and the chromatic scale lay out on the guitar. Now that's a lot of notes to learn, so we're not thinking about memorizing it that way. I think the most important thing as far as memorization is concerned is to find certain fret numbers to be able to recognize very quickly as far as the note that is located there, and then you can work off of that information. But I mean, why not go ahead and do that through all 6 strings? You'll get comfortable with that process, and then based on other things that you're playing, you'll probably start to link up that information with what notes you're actually playing in riffs or in chords, and all this theory stuff starts to come together. So that's just the first lesson, guys. We're going to certainly explore and expand on these ideas. Stay tuned for the next video. Let me know if you have any questions, but we'll see you then. Thanks.